All right, everyone. So go ahead and take yourself down onto your mat where we will begin. Just slowly getting ourselves into position here as we lay down on our backs. Really setting ourselves up for success as we enter our practice by just ensuring that our external environment is exactly how we'd like it today. Some days we can practice yoga with a million things going on around us, and other days we just need a little extra help. So quieting out all those noises, whether we accept them and acknowledge them or physically get rid of them. Make sure too that we're comfortable on our mat, the temperature in the room, if we've needed to add extra socks or blankets, if we've got a candle or a diffuser going, knowing all of these things that can help us really get into the right mindset, allowing us to immerse ourselves into our practice. Focusing now on how the body feels laying down on the mat. If our heart's racing, if our breathing's erratic, if we're tense through our fingers or our neck, our shoulders. Letting go of our jaw. Now just focusing on that nice, quiet breath. Inhaling through our nose and exhaling through the nose. Noticing the stomach, the rib cage, the chest, everything filling and lifting as we breathe in. And as we breathe out, our whole body relaxes down into the mat. Noticing the sense of calmness as it washes over. And if we haven't quite achieved that level of peace yet, noticing what's keeping us from it and see if we can really become mindful without judgment, remaining present state of mind, focusing on that breath. And on our next inhale, we can reach those arms long up overhead, opening up through the rib cage, lengthening the back, opening the chest and shoulders. Noticing just how this feels. I'd like us to experience every posture, every breath. One more inhale in this raised shoulder position. And on our exhale, we can gently release those arms down by our sides. Taking our time, we'll gather the knees into the chest. We can just go ahead and bend those legs and then careful to draw them in towards the body, holding wherever is comfortable today. And you can start that gentle rock right to left, whether it's a big movement or more conservative. We're noticing any knots in the lower back, any pinching through the hips, any tenderness. Slowing the movement, becoming still, continuing to hold knees to chest. Go ahead and roll through those feet, working through the ankles. And then just taking the feet down to the ground. We'll place them relatively close to the body, hips width distance apart, and prepare for our glute bridges or hip thrusts. Shoulders rolled down into the mat, activating the glutes. We'll inhale, lift the hips up towards the ceiling, and exhale, slowly roll down. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, lower, going up as high as you're able to do. Maybe not so far just yet, and maybe you're feeling pretty loose. Let's do 2 more. You can do that on your own time if you'd prefer. Very nice. Now, to continue activating the muscles through the body, we're going to take abdominal crunches next. If you'd like to take your hands to side of head, right behind the neck if you'd prefer. We gently tuck the chin as we engage abdominal muscles. Inhale, lifting head and shoulders off the mat, and then exhale, lower the head down, leaving the rest of the body still. Inhale to lift, exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, and although we're holding the head, we're not pulling on it. We're letting the abdominal muscles do the work. Exhaling down, inhale, lift up. Exhale, we have 2 more. Inhale, lift, nice and tight. Exhale, lower, that's when we relax. And last time, inhale, lift up. And exhale, release. Amazing. From here, I'll ask us just to take our hands out to the side. Separate your feet so the feet are a little bit wider than your mat. We're just going to windshield wiper those knees, right to left. Maybe they travel a lot. Maybe we're, again, a little bit more conservative. Just noticing how that feels as we allow those wide bent legs to wander right and left side. Any stretch through the hips, through the back, holding any position that we all of a sudden discover a sweet spot. Just loosening up the hips. We can do 1 more to each side. Very nice, everybody. Gently, gently, just bringing those legs back in. We're going to work our way over onto our sides so that we can come up into tabletop position. Now, as we come into tabletop, we're on all fours, hands placed underneath our shoulders, knees are underneath our hips. Finding that spinal balance. I want us to ensure that, we've not separated the shoulder blades, but we're still pressing away from hands, pushing shoulders up to ceiling, drawing those bellies in. These are important foundational things to consider as we set our position up. First, we extend that right arm directly front with thumb to the sky, and then press that left leg back, lowering that down. Inhale, left arm and right leg. Exhale, noticing any mobility restrictions. Inhale, right, any balance issues. Exhale. Inhale, left, lifting as high as the shoulder. Exhale, down. Inhale, right. Exhale, 1 more. Inhale, left. Exhale, now holding all fours, taking those cows and cats. We'll inhale, open the chest, looking forward. Exhale, round the back, belly's up. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Inhale, open. Articulating through the spine. Exhale, round. And 1 more. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Up nice and high. Pressing back into child's pose. Let's sink the hips back in towards those heels. Extend those arms. Rest the forehead. We're making this pose your own with any other variation that allows you to relax, to focus on your breathing, and to calm yourself down. We'll walk our hands over to the right side of our mat. Left hand sets itself on top of right hand as we just pull gently down that left shoulder. Gentle side stretch. Walking the hands through the middle over to the left edge of the mat. We can place that right hand on top as we pull past that right side. Noticing any sensitivities, any sensations. Coming back through the middle, and we'll prepare for our modified flow series. We inhale forward into a kneeling plank. Exhale, coming halfway down into that hovered push-up position. Inhale, press straight up into your kneeling plank. Exhale, push back into child's pose. Again, we inhale forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press up. Exhale, press back. Inhale forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Exhale, and we'll do this one more time. Inhale forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, pressing back. From here, we're going to come forward through tabletop, preparing for side plank. We'll do side plank on both sides. Now, side plank can be done a couple of different ways. We can have our hand and our knee stay exactly where they are, and then just rotate the body to the side and open that top side up. This is probably my favorite side plank. We can also lift that leg. If you'd rather come off your knee or onto your elbow, please do that instead. I'm going to continue to hold this for a few breaths, engaging those bottom side muscles and really lifting tall through that top arm. That extended leg is there for a little hip activation if you've chosen to add that in. Ooh, a little balance wobbles if you can see that through me. We'll take one more inhale. Exhale, come through the middle, tabletop. Now I'll show you from the back. So I'm going to keep my other side on the ground, just turn my foot back behind me to act a bit like a kickstand. And then as I open my top arm and leg, I'm going to choose to lift that leg as well. Really lifting out of our hand, activating those shoulders, the sides, the oblique muscles are strong, pulling belly buttons and spines together in the middle. We'll do this for 2 more breaths. One more inhale. Exhale, coming through the middle and back into child's pose. Taking a few deep breaths by ourselves here. And on our next exhale, we'll come up into downward facing dog. Pressing hands away, lifting hips high. And then notice as you look back at your feet, how close your heels are to the ground, how bent your knees are. Feel free to walk the dog toe to heel, or just staying still if you'd prefer that stillness. If anyone needs to wiggle, sometimes in down dog, just wiggling right to left really feels good as well. Now from our down dog, we're going to take our flow series, if you'd like to join me, 2 times. Inhaling forward through plank. Exhale, slowly lower, that chaturanga. Inhale, scoop up for cobra. Exhale, push back, down dog, or child's pose if you'd prefer. One more time if you're flowing with me. Inhale forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, press back. From here, we're going to walk our hands and feet all the way together. Take your time, as many steps as you need, bringing your feet up between your hands. We'll come halfway up into monkey stretch, pulling those shoulder blades together in the back, belly buttons lift high, long necks. Now slowly soften the knees. Inhale, reach the hands all the way up above the head to prayer. And then exhale, release. Go ahead and take a couple of shoulder rolls. If you have a drink, at this point, I would encourage you to take a couple of little sips. And then I'm just going to rotate my mat so I can face you while we go through some warrior poses. If you'd like to meet me at the top of your mat in mountain pose. 2 feet on the floor. Rolling those shoulders down our backs, palms forward. This is where we'll meet as soon as you've had your drink. Standing tall, feeling all 4 corners of our feet pressing into the mat. When you're able to do so, we're going to soften our knees and step our left foot behind us in warrior 1. Planting that left heel down into the floor, opening that back leg up as much as you need to. We bend forward through the front knee, raising our arms above head, or if instead you'd prefer, you can take heart center. Try to relax the shoulders down our back, really lengthen through the neck as we lift tall through crown of head. Notice that we've zipped up our belly and that we're continuing to press forward through that front knee without gripping our toes, spreading our toes out long if that's a possibility. We can choose to look high, or we can always close our eyes if that's preferred. Now from our warrior one pose, I'll ask that we open to warrior two, turning to the long edge of our mat, still bending forward into that right knee. Roll those shoulders back behind, continuing to glue bellies and back together. Just double check that your knee hasn't fallen forward, but it's open. From warrior two, we are taking reverse warrior. Front hand palm up, lift high to the sky away from your front knee. That arm is lifting high to the ceiling and the back hand is resting either on the back or the lower leg. Again, I'll just remind everyone that front bent knee, we want it over top of the ankle, opening our hips, opening that right side of our body. Feels so good to stretch our sides. One more big inhale. Exhale, coming down through warrior two. Feel free to stay standing, otherwise join me as we come down through lunge, plank, and down dog or child's pose. You always have the option to just stay standing in between. Otherwise, you can take child's pose, down dog, or join me through our flow series, which we'll do 2 times. Inhale forward to plank if you're working. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, lift up. And exhale, press back, down dog or child's. Inhale forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, press back. Now if we're down on the ground in down dog or child, let's walk our hands and feet together. Again, taking as many steps as you need to come up halfway to monkey. From here, we'll soften our knees. Big inhale, reverse swan dive. Come all the way high to prayer, where we'll join our friends in mountain. Now, all of us in mountain, if you're not quite at the top of your mat, moving there now, so we can repeat that warrior series with our left foot remaining at the top of our mat, the right foot coming back behind us. Notice that we want our feet flat on the floor. We can lift those arms high, and we can bend that front knee in. Really trying to lift through the stomach, open the chest, and draw those shoulders down our backs, squeezing them together. Slow, intentional breath in through the nose, out through the nose. Noticing how strong and stable we feel, how long our legs can be. Are we experiencing any fidgeting, any balance issues? One more big inhale. Exhale, warrior two. Opening to the side of our mat. Imagine that heels are on the same line if we were to draw a line on our mat. And we draw that knee forward a little bit more. Roll those shoulders down. Big deep breaths in warrior two. Preparing for our warrior reverse. Taking that top front hand up. Bending further into that front left knee. Really opening the left side of our torso now. Keeping the shoulder down. Sometimes when we raise our arm, we accidentally shrug our shoulder. Let's just keep that shoulder coming down away from ear. We have one more big inhale here. Exhale, warrior two, and then we can come all the way down through lunge or stay standing in mountain pose. If we're on the floor, choosing down dog or child's pose. Now, if we are choosing to flow, joining me 2 times through. Inhale forward to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, lifting up to cobra. Exhale, pressing back, down dog or child's. One more if you're flowing. Inhale forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Slide those elbows past the ribs. Inhale, press up. And exhale, push back, down dog or child's. Now together, if we're on the ground, we're walking or stepping our feet up between hands, coming halfway to monkey, really working on posture whenever we take this position. And then joining our friends in mountain, we'll soften our knees, big inhale, lift tall. And exhale, release our hands down. Again, maybe a couple shoulder rolls as we reestablish our position in the room, preparing for our second warrior series. We'll actually start in warrior 2 this time. If we'd like to slide that back left foot all the way behind us, open our body to the side of our mat. We bend into that right knee, maybe getting a little bit bigger through our warrior 2 this time around. Now this time, we're going to bend the opposite way with our torso, coming forward into side angle. Let's bring that right elbow onto the thigh. That left arm can reach high to the ceiling. If that ever bothers anyone's shoulder, you can just relax that arm behind your back. See how I've just tucked it back? Holding it here, really thinking about bellies in. Again, we're not shrugging our shoulders. Thinking posture, strength, stability. One more big inhale. And exhale, warrior 2. If anyone needs a break, quick straightening of the leg is fine. We are going to be coming into triangle. So you will be straightening your leg just a little bit. Slight bend in the knee as we reach forward. Reach, 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 reach towards me. And then you can release that bottom arm down and reach the top arm up. Making sure that we're not pitching our body forward, but keeping those shoulders and hips in line, strong through the feet. And then just watch your arms. That bottom arm, the knuckles are just grazing that bottom leg. If anyone would prefer, you can return back to side angle if that's a preference. We've got 2 more breaths here. On your next inhale, lift tall. Choosing to stay standing or swan dive yourself all the way down into down dog or child's pose, where again, I'll provide you the option of staying in your stretch or joining me in our flow 2 times through. Inhaling forward to plank, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, lifting up to cobra. Exhale, pressing back, down dog or child's. One more time, inhaling forward. Exhale, chaturanga, control. Inhale, lifting up, long neck. Exhale, pressing back, down dog or child's pose. Walking or stepping our feet together. Coming halfway up to monkey. See if we can get the legs a little bit straighter, the back a little bit longer. And now joining our friends in mountain, we soften our knees. Inhale, lift tall. Exhale, release through mountain. Take those shoulder rolls if necessary. Organize yourself here at the top of the mat as we prepare to repeat that. Right foot steps all the way back through warrior 2 as we now bend into our left knee. We've opened ourselves to the other long edge of our mat, shoulders down our backs, really zipping up from pubic bone all the way through crown of head. Choosing to look forward or look over that hand. We are getting ready for side angle. Bending towards your knee, left elbow onto thigh, right arm up to ceiling. Now I want you to experience this. Notice what you're feeling. Is it the inner left thigh? Is it the strength through the arms or through that right side of your body? Watch your breathing. On your next inhale, lifting ourselves up. Feel free to straighten out that leg for a quick break as we hold warrior 2, preparing for triangle. Now all together, let's straighten out the leg, leaving a slight bend in the knee. Reach forward with that left hand and then come down, making that triangle position. Strong and straight through that right side of your torso as you lift that right hand up to the ceiling. And then that left hand is just grazing that lower left leg. Resuming side angle if you'd prefer. Belly stapled to back. Shoulders pulling together in the back as well. Noticing an increase in our heart rate perhaps as we're really engaging a whole bunch of muscle groups right now. On your next big inhale, lift up, softening that front knee, choosing to stand in mountain or spiral down to step back all the way into down dog or child's. And this will be our last time coming through the flow series. If you're choosing to join, we'll take our inhale forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, press back, down dog or child's pose. Repeating one final time. Inhale to plank. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, press back. Now, regardless where we are, let's walk ourselves up, coming halfway up to monkey. Softening those knees. Big inhale, reverse standing tall. And exhale, release. Couple shoulder rolls if we need them as we come back to the top of our mat. Remembering to grab a drink whenever you'd like one. We're going to do our third and final warrior series of today's class. From Tadasana, we'll step our left foot behind us into warrior one. Just a short stance warrior one. This can be wider, not quite as far. Holding those arms up nice and tall, bending into the right knee, really pressing that left heel down to the ground. Noticing our balance as we stand in this lunge, preparing for pyramid. My favorite hamstring stretch. We'll take our hands to our hips, straighten out that front leg, hinge forward, leaving that front knee slightly soft. Hips and shoulders remain square to the front foot, and as soon as we feel a stretch, we rest. Whether we rest on the thigh, the shin, the foot, the floor. If anyone's using yoga blocks, they add just an increase in length of your arms. So you'd have them on either side of your front foot and you can rest on those yoga blocks. I suppose big textbooks would be the exact same. And we're just going to continue to focus on our long 2-part breath, breathing into our stretch. I'm going to offer an alternative. If anyone would like to join me in a balanced half moon, we're going to walk through that now. Otherwise, you'll stay in your pyramid stretch for a little bit longer. Joining me in half moon, those of you who are interested, we're going to walk our hands forward so that our right leg becomes perpendicular to the mat, lifting that left leg up parallel to the floor in that tripod position. Now from our tripod, choosing to join me in half moon, we lift the left hand and the left hip opens up. Standing on just that right foot, whether or not we have both hands on the floor or just the right hand. And now regardless of if we're in balanced half moon, tripod, or pyramid, we are all together going to bring our feet down to the floor and come down into a forward fold. We just hang over those legs. Whether the hands are touching the ground, holding elbows in ragdoll, or maybe even wrapped around our legs. I want everyone to just completely relax as we fold ourselves in two. Slowly, slowly, we're going to come halfway up to monkey. Take your time as we flatten halfway up. Squeezing the shoulders together, bending those knees lots, allowing the head and the heart to recalibrate in terms of blood flow. If you're anything like me, it takes a little bit of time. We'll soften those knees and now gently inhale, lift those hands up tall. And exhale, release. Just take your time as we rearrange ourselves here to the top of our mat to repeat that warrior series with our left foot tall at the top, that right foot stepping back into a short stance warrior one. It's a little bit wide, maybe as wide as our hips, not too far apart. We'll lift our arms into position when ready, engaging shoulder blades down our back, strong through the abdominal muscles. Feel free to close your eyes if you'd like, really internalizing our practice. Preparing for pyramid. We'll release our hands to our hips, straightening that front leg, but leaving a slight softness in the knee. hinging forward, keeping hips and shoulders square to that front leg. And as soon as you feel that stretch up the back, we just release the hands. As I mentioned on the first side, the hands are going to journey wherever is appropriate for us on this leg today. That can be a different spot every single time we come into our practice. This is where that judgment piece is so important in yoga, is we're doing our poses without judgment. We are aware, we acknowledge what the position feels like, we make modifications and adjustments to really enjoy it. Now you can stay in your pyramid, or you can join me through our balance pose next. If you'd like to soften your knee as you walk your hands forward, so that that left leg can become perpendicular to the ground, and the back right leg can lift up, becoming parallel to the ground. Choosing to stay in tripod, or open that top left hip, or sorry, what hip is that? Right, and we can lift that right arm up to the sky as well. Good, everybody. One more inhale, regardless of where we are. Now exhale, step your feet together and come down into your forward fold. Relax your upper body over your lower body. Relax the neck, the arms. In fact, let's shake our head no. And then nod our head yes. Now slowly, slowly, we're going to step all the way down into tabletop. And then press back into child's pose. Sink those hips nice and low. Extend the arms if we're able to, and rest the heads to the floor. Taking a couple of breaths here. And whether our attention has wandered or if we've been able to remain focused, let's really consider how we're feeling at this moment. Inhaling forward through kneeling plank. Exhale, chaturanga slowly to the mat, where we're going to hold cobra stretch for a few breaths, walking those hands back towards our ribs, feeling the chest, the bellies, the hips off the floor, soft elbows, long neck. And from here, we'll press back into child's pose one more time. Making our way up to a seated position. If you need to adjust anything, knowing that we are calming ourselves down and slowing ourselves down, feel free to put any sweaters, socks, or blankets nearby. I'll ask that we take our legs out straight whenever we're ready to do that. The first pose that we're going to do seated, we have two. We are going to do cradle the baby. And we can go through this in progressions as well. What we do to start is we can just take our hands behind us as we cross that right foot over the left thigh. You'll notice that the foot is on the outside of the thigh so that the ankle can be relaxed. This is a nice place to hold, and if you're feeling a stretch or think that this is good for you today, stay here. Otherwise, for cradle the baby, you can hold the foot and the knee in your hands, or you can scoop the foot and the knee in your elbows. Lifting up really nice and tall, secure those shoulders down our back, and then just start rocking right to left. Cradle the baby, stretching that right hip. As I mentioned before, if you'd rather just keep that foot crossed over the thigh, you'll be holding your figure four position or seated half lotus. One more inhale here. And exhale, release that foot. You can take that leg all the way down, crossing the other foot over the right thigh. Whether we stay here, lean back, hold the foot and knee in the hands, or scoop the foot and the knee in your elbows. Now, depending on tightness that we're holding in our hips, we may be able to sit taller, maybe able to hold those shoulders farther back, maybe just close your eyes and rock side to side. just like you're rocking. Holding cradle to baby for one more big inhale. And exhale, we can slowly release. Good. Now from our forward seated position, this is staff, we're just going to open those legs into a straddle. Whether your legs are still fairly close together or wide apart, let's just ensure that we're still resting on sits bones with our legs straight, toes pointing up to the ceiling. If you have a slight bend in your knee, that's perfectly acceptable. Let's start by taking that right hand, glide it down the right leg, and lift that left arm up to the ceiling. Remember, the left arm can always rest into the back pocket if preferred. Trying to keep both hips down onto the ground. Breathing into any stretch we may be experiencing through that left hip or the inside of the right thigh, all the way up through that left shoulder. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale as we glide the left arm down the thigh, lifting that right arm high to the ceiling if we're able to. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, just release that and shake those legs back together. We are going to be making our way down onto the ground now, laying completely down on your backs. Careful as we get down there for our final stretch. And as we make our way to the floor, as I mentioned, just making sure we're comfortable, we're happy with our environment, preparing for that spinal twist. You can do so with knees bent. I'm going to need a little bit more today, so I'll straighten my legs out completely, bringing our arms out to the side, making a T with the body. We'll lift that right knee up 90 degrees. Now exhale, lower the leg over to your left. Once you feel like the leg has relaxed into position, let's look over that right arm. Trying to keep both shoulders on the mat. Taking a couple of deep breaths here. Inhale, lifting that knee up. And exhale, release down. Repeating that now on the other side. Inhale, left knee. Exhale, lowering to the right. Trying to relax the shoulders, the legs, and we can look over that left arm if it helps. Inhale, lifting the knee up. And exhale, releasing the leg down. Now, whether we're taking the leg down in Shavasana, out straight and slightly rotated open, or if we'd prefer to hold a butterfly, I want us to just really pay attention to how our body feels on the mat right now. Whether we have our hands completely out, if they've returned in closer to the body, or if they're resting on our stomach. I'll ask that we relax the shoulders. Notice if there's any tension still being held in the hips. And lastly, let go of our abdominal muscles. Allow the core to release and relax, giving more room and space for the diaphragm to engage deeply. Noticing our breathing. That inhale brings the stomach, the ribs, the chest up towards the ceiling. And with our exhale, we feel everything surrender and melt into the mat beneath us. Focusing on our breathing and enjoying our final relaxation. Gently starting to wiggle those fingers and toes, rolling the wrists and ankles in little circles, bending those knees if they're not bent already. Go ahead and roll over onto your side. Feel free to extend your arm as we roll and rest the head on that outreached arm. Taking a final couple of slow, deep breaths in a completely rested state. Noticing how relaxed we're feeling. And gently, we'll begin to press ourselves up into that final seated position, whether it's lotus, crisscross, whatever is comfortable for you today. And as we make our way up to that seated position, I'd like to say thank you so very much for taking part in the yoga practice again with me on this beautiful Monday. Until next time, inhale, hands all the way up to prayer. Exhaling down through heart center. Namaste. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Thanks. See you later.